Greetings once again, gamers. I am very happy to announce that I figured out what the issue was. A lot of people have been suggesting that it's the issue in my previous video was due to floating point errors. I didn't think that was possible because the scale that we were operating at was just not like I thought floating point errors were would happen when you're like in the millions. That turned out not to be the case. I recompiled the engine to use 64-bit floats, and every problem, aside from like some that are unrelated, has been fixed. Let me demonstrate this. Oh, there we go. So, first problem, this thing. As you can see, no longer a problem at all. In general, the normal that gets reported is very accurate and does not fluctuate. So even before even at this low, the surface normal would still fluctuate quite a lot. It doesn't do that anymore. Oh. Yeah, that right here is an example of CSG meshes. Yeah, like that. That's not due to floating point errors, that's just due to CSG meshes not reporting things correctly. Sometimes things will clip through them. If they're small enough, but CSG meshes are really not great. This is part of the side effect. It's not great in any capacity. It has bad collision detection and has bad performance. But ignore that for a bit. That's not really related. I wanted to demonstrate how on normal meshes, on static body meshes and every other mesh that's not CSG cringe, the normal is perfectly steady, zero like little wiggling variation. That was happening even at like low, even at like the lower scales or at the lower Y levels, which is why I don't think it was 100% related to Y levels. I think it was more related to how Y levels compounded the issue of just the physics engine was not using the variables that the physics engine was using were simply not precise enough for any kind of calculation at this at the scale that the players are at, which are or at the scale that that it operates in, which are like, considering Godot encourages you to have your players be around 2 units tall, the scale that it'll operate at is going to be very, very small for collisions. I was wondering why this was not the case in 32-bit game engines like the Source engine. But then I realized that those engines units are like 50 times more than everything in that game is scaled by 50 times. the hammer unit is like about 54 times 1 meter. And so I think what that means is they were able to fine-tune the physics engine to operate within a range of numbers that are less dependent on decimals and more dependent on the acceptable range of a 32-bit float. I think that the way that Godot does not want you to be working in such a massive scale where like you know, your player velocity would be 400 or something units. It discourages that because once you get to that scale, you've got like rendering issues, and the editor just does not really like you to be at that scale because it doesn't even display numbers past triple digits. You need to hover over it to see what number it actually is, and the camera render distance, all stuff like that for and some of the like maximum values that the editor will allow you to change are it's very obvious that the engine prefers you to work in smaller, more easy to read numbers. But I think that's a huge problem for but by the way, the reason why it's flickering so much right here is because it's recalculating normal a lot. But oops. I think that the scale that Godot operates at, or wants its users to operate at, doesn't really work. I think the only reason why the 32-bit floats are sufficient in 32-bit apps like all source games that use the 2013 build of the source engine, are it's fine for those ones to be in 32-bit because the entire scale that the numbers that the physics engine are dealing with are significantly higher, and so they're able to compensate for that. They're higher, not past the float limit, but higher in terms of they are very rarely below 1. Like it's hard for me to explain. Like if we were in a source engine map right now, we would be so unimaginably small right now that we would probably just be clipping through the terrain. In fact, I'm actually going to try to demonstrate that in a moment. But that's my theory as to why this managed to work. Ignore like the CSG meshes; those are a whole other issue. CSG meshes and cylinder colliders are just buggy, and that's not they're just bad. That's another unrelated issue. Um, but yeah, so I'll climb up the slope to show how just perfectly, like, even with the previous version when we were standing on like a surface like this, the normal would wiggle all over the place even when we're on a face. Like, this is a face, this triangle here is a face. This, every time we're moving, it would like wobble randomly until we stop moving because it's imprecise. Now, even at this now it's just fine. So I don't actually think it had anything to do with the Y level, because I think the Y level might have had a tiny bit to do with it, but I think the underlying issue was just collision detection was just inaccurate in general, and when you're then dealing with like triple digit Y levels, it just makes it worse somehow. But it wasn't the collision detection wasn't even great even on this face, and yeah, now it's perfectly steady and expected. So two bugs have just been fixed by just using 64-bit floats. But I think that the issue is much bigger, and that Godot, if they want to support 32-bit apps, the amount of they need to do the same internal scaling, or like obviously it's easier to work in single-digit numbers. Maybe what they could do is they could scale everything to be in a range that that 32-bit floats would be precise in. Just like how the source engine does it, because the source engine operates in very large numbers, relatively large numbers compared to this. So anyway, I just wanted to show you, look at how perfectly steady this normal is, even when we go up high. There is no more issues, there are no more issues. We're always on the floor. I just fell off the thing a little bit, so that was my fault. Yeah, check this out. It is beautiful. It does not even change by a pixel. It is so beautifully perfect. It doesn't like wiggle a tiny bit at the very. You would expect like this part to wiggle a lot because it's far away from our point of rotation, which is the butt of this character. But nope, perfectly steady. And it stays that way forever. And that's because we reached the end of the slope. And so, yeah. I'm glad that this fixed it, but I think that the Godot team needs to work on needs to take notes from the source engine, because it seems like because I don't think that 32-bit floats can have acceptable precision for physics collisions on the scale that that the physics collisions are operating at, which are always less than 1, like in the tiniest of decimals. Now, I tried scaling everything 50 times, and I had a ton of issues because the editor really doesn't like working with numbers that big. But even when I did do that, the physics problems were still there. I think that's just because internally the physics engine is still using these smaller scale numbers to calculate for. But yeah, because I can't. I would have expected it to work, but it doesn't really work when I tried to do it. I can demonstrate that a bit later. Okay. I'll show what. Oops, wrong button. That is not the right source thing. Resize yourself, source engine. Okay. Just quickly googling up the console command to resize yourself. There we go. Close this real quick. I'm gonna change the scale so that we can actually see the numbers. There we go. I changed the scale because the numbers that display our position are bigger when we have a lower scale. Is it showing up? Let's see. No, it's not. It needs to be much bigger. Damn it. Okay. That's upsetting. It changes my entire client scale. Like the entire computer's scale. So I'll just not do that. Hopefully you can zoom in to see the numbers at the top. We're moving at 400 units per second, or whatever, like 400 units times delta. That's our speed right now, up there, and the positions are in the thousands. So that just reinforces what I thought about how they're compensating the fact that they don't have much decimal precision with float32. They don't have enough precision with float32 to do good physics, but they get around that by just scaling everything up to a range that float32 is comfortable with. We're gonna try to set our model scale to 0.02, which is which would scale us down to the Godot units, basically. All right. Oh, it looks at my camera. First person. Yeah, you can see that the position, despite us being on flat ground, is a little bit imprecise at this scale. It's switching from from 0.76, randomly switching from 0.76 to like 0.7. Yeah, it's 0.67 to 0.66, I think, sometimes per frame. Even though it should stay at 454.667. Yeah. Go in here. Steady here. Oh. Okay, I'm trying to climb this slope. There's camera interpolation for climbing this. Wow, everything... They even have it so that the bottom of the stairs are an angle, so you bounce off at an angle. The physics engine in this thing is so advanced, even to this day. Yeah, I can't really seem to prove my point very well right now. Don't really know I don't know if I'm clipping through it or if it's just... Okay, this is the ground. Okay, I found the angle. Yeah, that's weird. Maybe we need to scale ourselves smaller. Oh, I think there's a limit to how much we can scale. This is flat ground. .90. I wish it would show me more decimal places. This is really impressive though, how you're able to do stair stepping even when your player model is like not even remotely close to the size of this of the stair. That might that might actually be that might actually be because it's not actually scaling the collision hull in order to still do stair stepping, which would explain why we're not seeing the precision errors that Godot has at this scale. Considering this is 32 bits and 32 bits only, this game can't run on max anymore because max enforced strictly 64-bit now, which is very unfortunate. And Valve is too lazy to update the engine. Oh. Okay. Okay. That's weird. Yeah, I think it just doesn't properly scale it, so that would explain why. Like, I think it keeps the collision hull to be a reasonable size, so that you can still do stair stepping. Which would explain why my what's it called? My theory doesn't work. I'm presuming that it just lowers your it reduces your hitbox and lowers your what's it called? Your camera, but keeps the height of your... No, that wouldn't make sense because otherwise how would we be able to... How would we be able to fit under here if it didn't do that? Yeah, I don't know. Source Engine is magical and really, really impressive. I really wish Godot was able to live up to this engine. So, I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating. It seems very weird that float 32 is not enough. I think that it might also have to do with how I'm doing a ton of math, of vector math in GD script here, a ton of vector math. So over time, that's gonna add up. But honestly, that doesn't seem likely because all it handles is ultimately the only thing that Move and Slide and Collide cares about is the position of the body, and everything else is abstracted by the engine. And if the position of the body is, if we had to recompile the engine, I have a feeling that the things that Move and Collide are using now are now Float64. I don't know. It's it's really weird because now I can't export to 32-bit computers. Not that that would ever be an issue, because who uses 32-bit computers in 2022? But I heard that for like phones or some random stuff, 32-bit is required, which is why that Godot doesn't export by default in 64 bits. I think this is like a problem that all my speculating is not really doing justice. I'm trying to reason why it's why 64 bits are needed, but they're not needed in the source engine for good, accurate physics. For now, yeah, I guess. I guess for now I'll just keep using 64 bits. I'm gonna try one last thing before I go, and that's gonna be to scale stuff to absurd degrees. I'm gonna make this thing. Uh, I'm gonna make this like 999999999. Oh, oh no. Crap. What did I do? It stopped rendering. Okay, remove 1999. Oh, 999. Add another 9. Okay, add one more 9. Okay. More 9. And one more 9. Oh. Wait. There we go. Oh my god. Yeah. Even with Flow64, it doesn't like that at all. Let's remove 19. That's a bit more stable. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Uh, create convex collision sibling. Please don't crash. Wait. I'll remove this old one. This guy. Okay. This is gonna mess it up, I think. Oh my god. Oh, still fine. Impressive. Very impressive. It's having a ton of rendering issues, but oh, slipped off. having rendering issues, but it seems like it seems incredibly precise all the time, even at such an absurd. Wow. Oh. Yeah, impressive. 5411, 5411. Oh wow. Does it ever stop being precise? We're gonna increase our speed even more. But first we're gonna stretch this a bit, or 100 thick. 8. Oh, that didn't work. Yeah, it's just it seems to just be rendering issues at this scale. Okay, something isn't working. I wanted to make it thicker so we could go at like incredible speeds. What did I just delete? What is this? Oh, that's the other one. Okay. Oh my god. It's having a seizure. Jesus Christ. There we go. Okay. Now for chaos. Yeah, no issues. No issues as far as collision is concerned. Oh, wait. What is this I see? Is that just because I was touching the other one? I think. Yes. Yeah, that's because I was interfering with the other one. God damn. Oh. The rendering is so cursed. But it is holding strong for forever, it seems. We need to go faster. A 1,000. Third person. Oh my god. Wow. I'm very impressed. Oops. I keep even like the slightest change of angle on my mouse. Still true. Still very normal and consistent. The values are reading perfectly fine. At this scale, it's just rendering issues. Powerful. Absolutely fascinating. We need to go faster. I want to reach the top in the next 5 years. Wow. God damn. Faster. Oh my god. Damn it. Oh no. What happened? We moved too fast. It went out of render distance. Now I don't know where it would be. Shit. Okay, well, never mind. I guess, yeah. I guess with 64 bits, there's nothing there's nothing that's impossible at this point, aside from that. We're gonna remove this because this was horrific. But yeah, I don't know how the source engine does it. I have a feeling that the higher values that it deals with, the higher scale that it operates at, is might be part of why Float32's more or less fine at the, because camera maps can't be that large, but they can be pretty large. There's like a built-in limit. You'd have to like do chunking or something. There's somebody did a video on like infinite source engine maps by chunking, but if you don't do that, there is a limit to how big your map can be. And I think that's because not only of Float32 and also because they can't just shrink everyone, because if they did that, the physics engine wouldn't be very happy. So yeah, I don't know why it happened. Sorry for the stupidly long video. I'm just glad that it's fixed. It seems weird that rendering doesn't care much if I do float 64, but at that point that's fine because I don't plan to render things that astronomically large. It just would be cool to be able to. Yeah, but the precision that Float32 gives for Godot out the box is just unacceptable, and no game can be made with it. Like, it's just so the it's just not reliable enough. This is fine though. As for the CSG meshes, those need to be fixed. They're easy to work with, but incredibly bad for some reason. Seems weird because they are seems weird that they would be bad considering they oh wait, uh there it is. What if I it might actually happen at this line, the inaccuracies for this these things. Material transparency. Oh, it just doesn't want to show. Where was the line? At about here-ish. somewhat close to this slope. This is the big slope. Yeah, somewhat on that side of the big slope. Trying to see where it happens. I don't know why we can't see those lines from the geometry on this. More or less here-ish. Oh. There it is. Okay, that is more or less at that our player to those coordinates. Uh-oh. Whoops. Okay, screw this. Player. Okay, this is the bottom line. Really hard to... Top line. We are at the top line right now. That over here. Yep, okay. Yeah, it has something to do with where these lines are in the CSG boxes for the inaccuracy thing. I'll probably try to make an issue on it later, but it's kind of unrelated. That is kind of cool. Perspective. Yeah, that's that. Thank you for watching.